First, let me say that you can download the full guide to low glycemic diet following the link up here or in the description. What's more is that on my blog I've created a separate category for low glycemic recipes. Go and check them out. So, you want to eat low glycemic, but what scares you the most is that you're never going to have sweet treats again. Is that so? Well, it usually is the most common reason why people postpone embracing healthier eating habits. This was exactly my own personal experience as well. I put off the Candida cleanse for 2 years until my situation became so unbearable that I was simply forced to start, discovering that in effect there was no backing to my fears. Now, I have bad news and good news for you. Let's start with the bad. If you want to keep your blood sugar stable, balance your hormones, strengthen your immune system, maybe cure that candida overgrowth, and feel overall better, you are gonna need to ditch white sugar and refined grains. Moving on to the good news. You absolutely don't need to give up sweet bites because it's so easy to make delicious treats with healthy, wholesome ingredients using low glycemic sweeteners. I'll show you 3 yummylicious low glycemic dessert recipes that your whole family can enjoy. And I leave the best part at the end. A few tips based on real life experience on how to cope with sugar cravings. We'll start with those grain-free chocolate chip cookies, moving on to decadent chocolate truffles, and finishing off with the best, I think. So creamy and silky pumpkin tofu mousse that is perfect for the holidays. Okay, let's get started with those irresistible chocolate chip cookies that you can have every day if that's what you desire. This recipe uses no oils, butter or sweeteners, not even the low glycemic ones. Genius, isn't it? First, take coconut puree or any other nut butter and warm it up in microwave oven or use a double boiler until it's liquid. Then add oatmeal to coconut puree and mix them together. Pour the milk in gradually to avoid lumps. You'll find all the quantities in the blog post. Next, in a large bowl, mix together all the dry ingredients: almond protein powder and coconut flour, cinnamon and Himalayan salt, ground chia seeds and Carb powder. You may also use cacao powder or a mixture of both. Combine everything well. Now pour the liquids over the dry ingredients and mix until you have a homogeneous batter. Finally, fold in the Carb chips. You can buy those from store or make your own. Alternatively, use dark chocolate chips. Before you go on, refrigerate the cookie dough for 15 minutes. Then, divide the batter into 8 parts. Form round-shaped cookies with your hands and place them on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Feel free to make smaller or bigger cookies, up to you. Bake them at 175 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit for 16 minutes. And let cool a bit before biting into, if you are able to. They can be quite tempting. Those cookies are as low glycemic as cookies can get. Perfect for those on Candida diet or struggling with blood sugar fluctuations. Next up are those vegan truffles that make a decadent chocolate treat for any festive occasion. First, we want to get rid of the alcohol in wine, so bring it to boil, reduce heat, and simmer on low for 25 minutes, stirring occasionally. Then turn off the heat and let sit for another 10 minutes. While the wine is simmering, throw together the other ingredients. Nut butter, I use tahini and cashew butter, powdered xylitol or erythritol, Carb powder or a blend with cacao powder, and finally coconut flour. Now add 2 tablespoons of wine concentrate and mix until you have homogeneous batter. Cool the filling for 15 minutes before you continue. Next, in a double boiler, melt the dark chocolate. I myself used my Carb chocolate candies. I suggest using about 100-gram bar to be able to go to truffles conveniently. I'll show you what to do with the leftovers later. Let the melted chocolate firm up a bit to make it thicker. When the filling is cooled, shape 8 truffles between your palms and place them onto a plate. Each truffle will weigh about 20 grams. If you wish, cool them in the fridge before you start coating. I'd recommend this if it's very warm inside. Now go and watch the full truffle video for the coating process and tips. Finally, refrigerate the truffles for at least an hour before serving. Transfer any leftover melted chocolate into silicone candy molds, refrigerate, and use up in any way you like. You could make the cool truffles a bit more festive by sprinkling some beetroot powder over them, or pink pitaya powder, or anything you prefer really. Now I've been waiting for this moment, biting into this soft, chewy, and chocolatey truffle that has a hint of red wine. Will I be able to keep it to one piece? If you're into creamy mousse-like desserts, then this is an absolute heaven. It's an easy blend recipe, so let's get started with throwing in the ingredients. Oven-baked butternut squash. You can also use the same weight of canned pumpkin. You won't need to add any liquid in case you go for the latter. Silken tofu is the reason behind all this creaminess. I used Morinu firm silken tofu. In it goes. And here come all the holiday flavors. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of ginger powder, 1/8 teaspoon of cardamom, 1/2 teaspoon turmeric, and a dash of Himalayan salt. And now the low glycemic sweeteners. 1/2 tablespoon mosquito powder and 2 tablespoons of xylitol or erythritol. As xylitol is a bit sweeter, you might use about 1/2 tablespoon less. And finally, 1/2 tablespoon of peanut butter for some heartiness. Feel free to use almond butter or coconut puree instead. Now it's down to blending. You can use either a regular blender or immersion blender like I do here. My oven-baked butternut squash is really thick or dense, not sure which is the right word here. So I need to add 1/4 cup of plant milk to the mixture to help the blending. This is the consistency you are looking for. Neither too thick nor runny. Perfect. Of course, your idea of perfection might differ. The recipe fills 2 of those 200 milliliter jars. Even though I initially thought it would be good for 2 servings, I soon discovered it was difficult for me to get through the whole jar. The mousse is simply so hearty, dense, and filling. So, unless you jump on those famished, I suggest sharing it with 2 friends or having second and third helping later. It keeps well in fridge for 3 to 4 days, covered of course. I sprinkled some extra cinnamon on top. Chopped nuts and dehydrated sprouted buckwheat also would work great. I tried it and absolutely loved the crunch. Did you know that a little crunch makes you eat slower and therefore keeps your blood sugar more stable as insulin is released at a steadier pace? Given that you divide the recipe into 3 servings, 1 serving will give you 4.7 GL points. All those recipes are yummy, no doubt. But what if you still miss your usual treats containing white sugar? My first tip is to concentrate on what you can eat, rather than wasting your time on thinking about what you'd miss. It's all about the mindset. If you're stuck in the negative side of things, it will be very difficult for you to shift your habits. You'll need to create positive experience with a change. So overcrowd your menu by trying new foods and recipes. Fill your eating schedule with healthy, wholesome snacks and desserts so that there will be no room left for sugar-filled treats. For example, make a plan for the week. Choose the recipes that you want to try and batch cook snacks and dessert for the whole week. This way, you have something healthy and wholesome to grab from the fridge at all times, and you won't be tempted to reach for that sugar-filled candy bar. The next one is very important. Make your home a zone free from any of the foods that you don't want to consume, and instead fill it with healthy, wholesome ones that you will enjoy and that will nourish your body at the same time. You'll soon learn that desserts made of healthy, whole food, plant-based ingredients are much more satiating than any refined varieties. So you'll end up eating less in terms of volume as well as calories, and you don't feel addicted. I'd say it's a win-win. And the best part is when you have stabilized your blood sugar and have much more energy, you won't be craving the old treats at all. So it is all about concentrating on what you can eat, creating positive experiences with the change, overcrowding your menu by trying new foods and recipes, batch cooking healthy snacks and desserts to have them available at all times, and making your home a zone free from foods that you don't want to consume. Now make sure you go and grab your copy of my free guide to low glycemic plant-based diet.